The much anticipated release of the Exodus Rival is now here. A budget-friendly cellular trail camera that's reliable, hardworking, easy to use, but still feature-rich. Over the last year, we've been working behind the scenes building our next generation of cameras, taking consumer feedback and delivering, in our opinion, the best budget cell camera on the market. The Rival is a cellular trail camera that comes in at $179 and of course, backed by the Exodus Advantage 5-year no BS warranty. The Rival was built with the same durability you're used to when it comes to Exodus products. It's built with a simplistic mindset focused around reliability, fast cellular capabilities, easy settings and setup features while delivering great photos and videos. While developing the Exodus Rival, we wanted to build a simplistic yet reliable cellular trail camera at an affordable price that hunters could run at volume. Here's a few specs you should know about. 0.3 second trigger speed, 70-foot detection with adjustable sensitivity, 30-second photo transmission speeds, adjustable image quality upon uploaded photos, adjustable upload intervals, live, on-demand, over-the-air management, and of course this is compatible with the Exodus SP18 solar panel and future external power source products. And again, backed by our 5-year no BS warranty. There's a lot to know about the Exodus Rival, so we're going live January 16th at 7 p.m. to share the specifics of this product, have an open Q&A, earn a chance to win a free product, and also save some money with an exclusive discount that you will only see in this live feed.
All right, we're live. Welcome, welcome. This is the first inaugural product release. We've never done a live, so give us just a slight bit of grace with this, but really excited for this. And if you've seen some of the emails we've sent out, some of the content we have on our website, we're giving away a Rival every single 10 minutes on this live stream. And we have our first winner, Jeffrey Reich, on Facebook. So in order to be one of those folks to potentially win a Rival, all you have to do is share this and tag us. It can be on Instagram, on Facebook, tag us, let us know in the chat, and our team will be watching that. Very excited for this. We're going to be answering all of your questions. We're going to go through this product, and hopefully you walk away with this with no questions and also some special savings for you guys. So really excited. Chad, why don't you go ahead and take a chance to introduce yourself here?
Yeah, Chad Sylvester. Some people are familiar with the voice, familiar with my ugly face, but unfortunately I'm doing a lot of the videos, but co-owner, co-founder of Exodus. So I think just to kind of introduce the brand, there's a lot of new faces as we monitor this chat. What do you think about just giving a little bit of background on the company, Jake?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And obviously this is we're entering year 8 here very soon. So that's a long time. And regardless, you've been here since the start. So I think no one else would be better than to tell us a little bit about Exodus and why you started the company originally.
Yeah, we started back in 2015, and really the reason for starting, or the focus around starting the company, was a little bit to kind of scratch our own itch, I guess you could say. We just felt a few pain points as consumers, one being longevity around trail cameras, and then the lack of product support or back end support from other manufacturers. It seemed like these companies were just servicing large purchase orders to box stores and cared less about the end user, and so we wanted to build a company that provided the most value to consumers kind of through all of our verticals. And for us, that's product value, that's product education, it's product support. And I think that's really reflected in just our mission statement of being an outdoor and hunting industry brand company with a core mission of offering quality products with consumer direct savings, not only to help people become better hunters, but also have their hunting experiences more enjoyable. So that's kind of it in 30,000 foot view. You handle a lot of the marketing stuff, Jake, a lot of the content. You kind of head that team. What have we kind of brought to market over the last 8 years?
Yeah, so that's something that has evolved here over time, but saw a need in the marketplace, came out with a single camera, the Exodus Lift, for those folks who've been here for a really long time. And that product was to solve an issue of a camera that's reliable, camera that has a unmatchable warranty, 5-year no BS warranty, and also have the best customer service possible. So that was the inception of Exodus, the Lift. We pre-saled that, and it had a lot of support. And throughout that, we've been really fortunate with our customers. And so we came out with the Lift, and then the Trek, which, as you guys will see here today, the Rival is a little bit reminiscent of the Trek, which I think a lot of you guys really like. The Lift 2, and then obviously the Render, our Verizon 4G LTE camera. And then obviously last year we launched a Aero line, which we'll have more information about that throughout this year. But overall, that's the core mission of building quality built products and backing them up. I mean, a lot of this isn't necessarily rocket science once you're in the trenches, but how you treat your customers, how you educate them is really what we pride ourselves on. And I think that's that's the beauty of what we've done here so far, and really excited for what we have in store here today.
And do you think that's kind of a reflection of the business model, or like, I guess, what are some benefits of D2C if anybody's unfamiliar with, not being in retail stores?
Yeah, unfortunately, D2C, direct to consumer direct, has become a little bit of a buzz for marketing, or a marketing buzzword. But what that basically means is we source quality components, we manufacture them, and we simply sell them to you. And so we're not servicing a box store. We're able to build a great product at a more affordable price than if we were servicing big box retailers. So that's something that we couldn't do if we were not consumer direct as of right now. And that's really the core essence of our business, being consumer direct with the information that we share, regardless of what someone uses. If they have value to provide, we're going to bring them on the podcast and help educate everyone else. So that's what has been really exciting. Now, in terms of the education process, trail camera users are bombarded with marketing terms. They're bombarded with all this basically smoke and mirrors hype, and we cut all that out. We want to educate you. We want to build a quality product. We'll educate you regardless of what you're going to buy, but we hope after you learn all the nuances in the background of trail cameras that we're a viable option. And we're going to be diving into that very deeply here today. And I think the Rival solves an issue much like the previous products that we've released. So I think, should we go ahead and get into what people are here for today, the Exodus Rival?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So what birthed this project or product originally?
Well, some of it was consumer feedback. Some of it's shift in the marketplace, right? But I think the idea of having a simplistic, reliable cell camera that is also feature rich and easy to use was kind of the idea behind the product. And to do that, you mentioned the Lift 2 and the Trek. To make a simplistic camera, we've kind of followed that same model of looking at a previous camera that we built in the Exodus Render, and then noted like what was absolutely not necessary in that product. Now that product has a lot of bells and whistles and fancy stuff in it. So to get our manufacturing cost down, to lower the MSRP, we just took out things that were not absolutely necessary. Things like the LCD screen, the navigation keys, like the little keypad, some of the tooling costs. So all of that led us to eliminate some redundant hardware. Things like, if you limit your circuitry, you can limit capacitors and, the technical nuances of the components and PCB boards. So all of that really allowed us to get the manufacturing cost down. And as like you said, in the D2C model, being consumer direct, like we just have that one markup. That's it. So if we have a product that retails for $200, we have $100 in it. Like we're probably more transparent than we should be when we, are talking about some of this stuff, but that's just the way that we've kind of operated our business for the last 8 years. Like if we can't talk about it to the general public, then we're probably doing something a little bit wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this typically in the past, when we've released some other cameras, there was more buildup, more lead time to it. And so this one is pretty streamlined. So what was the testing process for the Exodus Rival?
It was, to be honest, it was a little bit frustrating because it got us outside of our comfort zone. And we'll get into some of the specifics of the camera, but I mentioned that there's no LCD screen. Just about every product that we've built has either had a backlit LED with some type of, text prompt or an LCD screen. So when you're testing things, the camera might report some type of error where you can physically see it on camera. This camera is a little bit different where there's only LED indicators. So on the development side, when we first got into this, on my end, it was just outside of the box. It got me outside of my comfort zone, which is good for growth, right? That's the only way you can grow, is being outside your comfort zone. But I think a couple of things that we utilized, again, going back to that model of taking a previous built camera and kind of stripping it down to the necessities to make it simplistic and yet reliable. We looked at, the one single most expensive piece of hardware, which is the cellular module, right? So what we used in the render is still class leading, 3 years later. Like that hardware in that camera is still capable of doing things that people are just now releasing cameras on. So we looked at that and said, okay, what can get us a more cost-effective module that still offers quality features? So we looked at an EC21 module variant versus what was used in the render. So that saves some costs there. We were able to lower the overall development costs on tooling by using some open sourced housing or open source tooling on a couple of the pieces. Visually the camera, you see it looks a little bit different than our past cameras. So everything that we're doing in 2023 has updated housing designs. And I think, looking at the fact that this camera has a different flash range or a different flash type. So this is an 850 flash unit, which is considered like a low glow. That allowed us to also look at different components on the image sensor side too, because you're not captive to using a certain piece of hardware at night to produce X or Y photos. And when you get into black flash stuff, it's a little more difficult because you're just not emitting a whole lot of light there at night.
Yeah. And for anyone that's thinking, well, I'm only no glow, period. I had this camera. I ran these cameras all fall. And in one particular camera, I had more deer bed in front of it than any other camera in the past at night, just hanging out right in front of it. And so that's something that, somewhat, I've only ran black flash cameras here for the last 6 years. So that was something that was really apparent to, or paying a lot of attention to. And I really didn't see any potential drawbacks on that. But I think it's time for us to announce another winner here real quick. Built by Venison. I like that on YouTube. That's his username, Built by Venison. And you can send us an email at info@exidusoutdoorgear.com. Send us all your information and we will send out one of the very first rivals to you. And the same for you, Jeffrey. I forgot to mention that previously, but back to running these cameras this past fall, extremely reliable, very great photos, impressive battery life. And obviously it's not as feature rich as the render, but for someone on a budget wanting to increase the number of cell cameras they have in the field, the rival easily tackles that job without any question or shout of a doubt. So to me, that was the problem that a lot of consumers were sharing with us, like, hey, we need a more cost-effective camera. And this is our answer for that. And I think if you get one of these in your hands, you'll see some of the same things that I just shared right now. But this camera is obviously looks a lot less complicated than previous models. But I know you touched on it a little bit, but what was the purpose of that essentially?
It was just keeping that simplistic mindset and still making it effective. I mean, when you start looking at IoT solutions or connected devices, like the bigger part of the user experience is within the app there. So it's like, why are we putting this stuff on the camera if people are using their phones to get these things set up? So that was where it made probably more sense to take out that LCD screen, go to those indicators, go to a single switch, and then run all of those settings and features through the app. But the key there is that there's still embedded settings, default settings like on the camera, which I think is relatively important because you can just turn it on and walk away from it and let it work. And then also you can, if you wanted to use this thing as a regular standard SD card camera, there's potential to do that there too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the great thing that most people overlook. Maybe during the summer, or maybe now the season's winding down, you just want to run it as a regular camera. $150 non-cell camera backed by 5 years is something that you guys can claim here today. So that's really exciting. Now, people are wondering, what are the specs? That's what people, there's a lot of questions and we will answer direct, questions that you guys have that you're putting in here. But on a high level, let's talk about the spec sheet and what people can expect when they scoop up a rival.
Yeah. In fleet. So what MSRP is this coming in at?
So this is coming in at $179. Obviously, if you use code RIVAL right now, you can save 17% and get that camera just under $150, which is insane value. And so $179, which I think is very competitive in this marketplace, and all of the intrinsic value that comes with the camera, the Exodus advantage, the support, all the videos of troubleshooting, everything top to bottom. When you get this camera in your hands, you go to our YouTube channel and you will be able to walk through right along us, like you're over our shoulder, and understand exactly how to use this camera at the highest ability. And I don't think that's out there right now. And once again, that's just something that we take great pride in.
Yeah, there was a couple of calls that rolled in the office today where people were actually just testing the service line to make sure they got someone who spoke English, which I thought was,
I love that.
Thought that was
which
kinda,
is sad. It's sad. It's sad we have to come to that, but yeah, when you dial, you're gonna get someone that's just as passionate about these products as you are.
Yeah. But to dive into the specs, I touched on the module. That EC21 variant, on the cellular module, it supports primarily bands 2, 4, 12, and 17, which are, I guess, technically owned by AT&T, but there is support there for global use. So right now there's, the camera will work in Canada, it'll work in some other countries, but we're not going to open up global sales because there's some additional paperwork we have to file for to kind of get clearance. I know in Canada it's CRTC cert, which is like the equivalent to the FCC. So once we have that stuff kind of ironed out, we'll go ahead and, make another announcement and say, hey, we're going to open up sales in Canada or whatever other countries. But that won't come for a little while yet. Spec wise, you're going to notice photo mode, video mode, time lapse. For operational modes inside the camera, we did away with hybrid. The way that these videos are kind of uploaded to the app, you're getting a thumbnail of that video, like the first frame, and then you're actually clicking that and clicking it a second time for it to play. So there's really no need to have that hybrid mode there. It felt like it was kind of redundant. This has a 3.1 megapixel image sensor. So, non-cellular capabilities, 1080 video, 30 frames per second. There's 6 different photo sizes there. And on this camera, ScoutTech had did some things with adjustable compression. So I think this is really important. This is adjustable compression it gives the user the ability to adjust the photo quality that they're getting transmitted from the camera to their app. So resolution, like on standard thumbnails, are going to be approximately like 640 by 320. And those files can be as small as like 20 kilobytes. So very, very, very small. Yes. So this is going to, exactly. It's going to give you more bang for your buck. Now, there's also a setting where you can lower the compression and get bigger images transmitted. I think those are like 1920 by 1080. And I've seen these files be as big as 375 kilobytes. So they're not quite as big and high as resolution as like the HD images, but it's definitely an increase of photo quality compared to like the smaller normal thumbnails. So we've basically given that ability to adjust it and put it in control of the end user. If they value more bang for your buck on the data, they can run the higher compression. If they see more value in like the better image quality, they can run a lower compression. So I think that's something unique and something a little new.
Yeah, and I think while we're talking about that, I mean, a 0.3 second trigger speed, 70-foot adjustable detection. What are some other customizable options that comes with the Rival?
Well, I think on the detection too, there was a change that we made from, I guess, consumer feedback for customers. Over the last 4 years selling renders, everybody is aware of like those windy days. Like it doesn't matter where you are in the country. There's 1 or 2 days every fall where you get a high wind speed day, and all of a sudden, like the wind's blowing crazy, and you have 200 pictures taken of a lichen branch blowing around or whatnot. So inside of that adjustable detection, there's, I think, off the top of my head, I think there's 7, 8, or 9 different settings, with 0 being one of them, where you can physically go in and turn that PIR sensor off on those windy days, where before you had to suspend the camera or you had to adjust your trigger delay to 1 picture every hour. Here you can actually monitor that real live time, go in, turn that PIR off, and then when a windstorm passes or the weather clears up, you turn it back on through the app. So I think that's another unique feature that I'm not sure if any other camera company does that. I don't know, but it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we mentioned it's a low glow camera, so 850 nanometer flash. This allows for longer flash distances. So this is adjustable out to 90 feet. And overall, there's just more light there for more illuminated nighttime images. So that's a little bit different for us. The camera still has all your like on-demand live features. So regular OTA calls through the air. When the on-demand's turned on, you get to basically punch into that camera live. You can tell it to take a photo, tell it to take a video, format the SD card, update the firmware. So that's, again, when we say that this camera is still feature rich and does some things that the render does, this would be one of them. So it has the on-demand ability to, punch into that camera live. The transmission time really depends on what you're uploading, right? Like we've seen photos be uploaded in as little as 8 seconds. And then I've seen videos like this camera can run up to a 90-second video, which this is one thing that a lot of other camera companies do too, is they pigeonhole you into, a 10-second video or a 15-second video. I mean, some may even do 5 seconds. Again, we left the ability to adjust that in the end user's control. If someone wanted to run a 90-second video, they can run a 90-second video. Now, we've done that through testing, and it's like, your file size is going to be like 22 or 23 megabytes, which is going to eat up data. And it took us about 4 or 5 minutes to transmit that big of a file. But like normal use, we've seen transmission speeds anywhere from 8 seconds to 35 seconds, I think is like a typical use case for probably 95% of users. So still pretty fast. It's not quite as fast as a render, but still like it rivals all those budget, $150 cell cameras.
Absolutely. And I think here real quick, we should probably announce another winner, Mark Rowe on Facebook. So I just want to say thanks for everyone being really active in here. We really appreciate that. We'll get through as many questions as possible. And so I just got word from our team here. So on some of the scenes where we're showing photo examples, there's no audio on that. So we will post all of those on social, and we'll have more examples on the actual web listing as well. So we have tons of examples that you can go through and look as well. So be sure to check that out on the website. We'll have those added very shortly. Now, external power source. I think that's something that a lot of people are much more sensitive to now as lithium batteries have really increased. So tell us, a little bit about external power source with the Rival.
Yeah, it's not on the power side. It's still a 12-volt product. So that's what everybody is used to, with our products, with the trail camera vertical, I guess we've always built 12-volt products. So the operating voltage is 9 to 12 volts. So this product, the Rival, is compatible with the SP18, same size DC jack. So there's nothing kind of new there that'll retrofit any previous SP18s that we've sold. And the Rival is also compatible with future external power source products not yet released right now.
More exciting news. That's what Chad's trying to say in a cryptic way. Absolutely. Now, this is something I just really want to drive home because I think it's so important that people, when we posted this initially or teased it on some previous episodes of the podcast, most common question was, does it still have the 5-year warranty? And I just want to make that crystal clear. The warranty that you have come to love from Exodus, that is exactly what you're going to get with the Rival. So for someone that's brand new, doesn't really know what that is, it's a 5-year no BS warranty. Anything from manufacturing standpoint that happens to that camera, we have you covered. We're going to fix or replace that throughout that time frame. Now, let's say a bear chews it up. Let's say you're in Pennsylvania, a bear beats it up. It happens all the time. Or let's say it gets struck by lightning, or let's say there's a flood. You're going to be able to replace that camera 50% off one time. So not only are you covered from a manufacturing standpoint for 5 years, if life happens, which it does, you can replace it 50% off. So that's something that is really important. I think people sometimes overlook it, or they have been conditioned to feel warranties are kind of just a crapshoot, but we stand by that. That's why we're still here today. So we take that with great seriousness and know that you're going to be covered if you scoop up this camera.
Yeah, that's, launching a new product doesn't always mean like you're doing something different with the user experience at the end. The warranty is the same. The service is the same. The educational resources that we, post on, whether it's YouTube, our blog, the podcast, like all of that is still there. So that's where, like, when you start looking at the value prop of some of the, we'll call them budget cameras, at that $150 mark, like what you're getting with the Exodus Advantage for, we'll call it 30 more bucks. To me, it's like, duh, it's no brainer.
Absolutely. Now, One thing that another question that we got very often, and these are probably people that aren't as familiar with our products or currently don't have any of our cell cameras. Let's talk about data plans. I think it's complex, but ours is really straightforward. So let's talk about the data plans in coordination to the rival or the render. Let's say you already have some renders. How do those compile together, and what should people know?
Yeah, for anyone who, I guess we'll kind of segment that into two pieces, but for anyone that has a render and wants to add a rival to their plan, like there's nothing different. Like all you're doing is adding that camera to your existing plan. Like, so you don't need a second plan because you're running renders and rivals. You get a camera, you activate it within the app, you add it to your existing plan, you pay the $7 line fee, and that's it. Like very straightforward. Pretty simple there. On the overall data side, I think it's important to note that with what we're doing with Scout Tech on the app, like we're not upselling you for like the premium features, right? Like we're not charging you for HD download requests. We don't do any of that because there's no added cost there for us. That's the user experience that the product is available to give, and we should give it to people. Like we should be charging people for that. So I just want to throw that out there. But essentially what we do is shared plans. So you buy one single data plan, and that can range anywhere from $3 to, I don't know, you can buy a plan for $100, which is like 4 or 5 gigs. But you buy one single data plan. And then for each active camera that you stack on that plan, it's a $7 line fee per month. That's it. There's no monthly contracts, no annual commitments. You can activate them and deactivate them kind of however you see fit. One of the things that we do, I think that is really, really fair, is you can actually downgrade or upgrade your plan mid-month. So like, let's say someone buys a $10 plan and they get whatever that is, 250 megabytes, and they're halfway through the month and they're like, oh, I'm never going to use all of this. I've only used 25 megabytes. You can downgrade your plan. And then whatever that difference is between the smaller plan and the plan that you purchased gets credited to your account. Like we give you that money back. And the same thing happens in reverse. If you're halfway through the month on a data plan and you're like, I've used 90% of my data and it's January 16th. Like I don't want to go over. You can upgrade to the higher plan or a higher plan and only pay the difference. So the difference could be like $5 to $7 where you're paying $2. You're not being charged for a whole new plan. Anytime you need to manage that kind of mid-month, I guess.
And that happens. That happens during, I know I upped my plan in October, and then I upped my plan in November because I had a lot of cameras out. And obviously I'll dial that back here as season winds down. So that's something that is a great opportunity for folks to really not feel like they're getting bent over or having to overpay for things that they really don't need. I mean, it's just no nonsense. How would we want to do business? And that's how we do it.
Right.
I think that's just the right thing to do. Now, people, we've had quite a few orders rolling here. And first off, I want to say thanks to everyone that's done that. We really appreciate it. And anyone that has stuck by our side throughout this time and has been part of some other pre-orders, they're probably wondering, well, when are these going to show up on my doorstep? So why don't you go ahead and address that for these folks?
Yeah, our track record is certainly not perfect when it comes to pre-orders. Luckily, we've had, like, our customers are absolutely outstanding, and I think that's probably from the unneeded transparency, from us, like just being completely open and communicating. But in any regards, we're getting better and we're doing better, and this is better because cameras they're already on their way here. This first shipment of Rivals is set to land at the office January 24th. And like, we are checking that daily to make sure there's no hiccups or anything that happens kind of within that logistics vertical. So once we get them in January 24th, we'll have a couple of days there where we're going through our QC procedures because we physically put our hands on every single camera before it's shipped. In this case, we actually have to inspect them. We will install the firmware on them. We'll get them onboarded in our system and then start shipping to customers once that process is complete. So right now it's bookmarked for February 6th. We will be shipping any Rival cameras that are ordered between now and then, February 6th.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this code Rival is going to be active for the first 300 cameras. And if that code stops working, it's because it's fully claimed. But regardless, you'll get shipping updates probably before they leave the office as well. So they'll leave the office likely around February 6th, but you may get an email that, hey, here's tracking prior to that. Give us until February 6th until you're actively checking your tracking, because then it'll update as they head towards your home. Now, let's see. The other thing here is once they show up, we're going to have all the onboarding videos for you. So you can go to our YouTube channel, you can go to our website, and you can watch those tutorials. If you're a little freaked out, I really need a screen. I'm telling you, with the videos that we have, it'll be easy. I promise that. And if you have any issues, we can help you walk through that as well. But everything should be there to where it's very easy.
Yeah, there's one more thing that we probably didn't mention. So one of the ways we were able to get the MSRP down was like, again, going back and eliminating like the non-essential things. And with a cell camera, when you're setting these things up in the woods or in the timber on field edge, wherever you're putting them, like your phone is typically with you 99% of the time, right? So on the packaging of the Rival, there's a QR code to scan and download a digital manual where, like, if you're intimidated by not having that LCD screen and not seeing text and not seeing those prompts, like that manual is physically in your phone with you while you're setting these cameras up. They kind of walk you through the process, what the LED indicators mean, all of that. So I think that was something that we didn't. I don't think we mentioned that, which I think is kind of important.
Absolutely. And you personally write the manual too. You write it just how we talk. So it's not in a cryptic fashion. It's not an engineer. I mean, I guess you can put an engineer hat on when you write it, but regardless, it's in common English that makes sense, which I think is really important. So it's a manual that is helpful, not one that you
it's usable. Yeah. It's not something, and I know like we have the tendency as men, like not to read that stuff, but I'm telling you, it can be your best friend. Like everyone should read it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now it's time for another winner. The next Rival winner, Eversole Outdoors on YouTube. Send us an email at exodusoutdoorgear.com. And we're going to post all these winners too as well. So you guys can go back and see everyone that won. Send us your information and we'll get you one of the very, very first Rivals. Now, should we start answering some of the questions that have rolled in? We got a lot of people, a lot of questions coming in. We'll try to get to as many as possible and answer some of the recurring questions. First one is, will these be available for Verizon?
Well, I think that depends on market acceptance and what everyone does, how they sell. I mean, we have a Verizon ready, able product that is still, class leading across a lot of specifications with the Exodus render. Now I get there's maybe like $100 price difference there. But I think there's a lot of stuff planned for 2023. Who knows what's to come?
Yeah. And that brings up a good point. The render is currently marked down to 275. So if you've been on the fence when it was at 335, it is 275 on the website right now. So if you're like, man, I only have Verizon, I want to support these guys, you can order a render. Now, next question. I saw some comments from Canada. Will they be available there?
Yeah, shortly. As I mentioned, we're going through the process of getting the equivalent of what we need in the United States to sell product like an FCC certification. So in Canada, it's the CRTC cert. So once that process is wrapped up, we will open up sales in Canada.
Great opportunity. We haven't been there on a connected device, and excited to get some cameras for you guys up there. Now, this was, let's see, we covered this question. Can they be added to existing render data plans in ScoutTech? Absolutely. No questions asked. Very easy. This is another question we saw quite often, which actually shocked me a little bit, but can you lock these? How do you lock these? People are stealing SD cards. What do you do for that?
Yeah, I saw some of those comments. I think it was over the weekend, maybe on social. So the back of the camera is obviously Python compatible, Python cable compatible to lock the physical camera to the tree. Yep. Our past products have had a loop for a padlock where you can lock the actual housing. Whether or not people use those, I don't know. But like, you're talking about a piece of plastic that's 3/16 of an inch thick. And like, literally you could pick up a stick and smash that thing and break it off. If people are concerned about locking their cameras up because someone's stealing their SD card, and I get it, like we run a lot of cameras on public. We actually have more problems with theft on private than we do public, but it's different everywhere. If you're worried about your SD card being stolen, run your cable, your Python cable around the front of the housing of the camera. Like it's relatively easy. You can get yourself a double action Python cable, you lock the camera up, and then you make a second loop around the housing of the camera, and then it's locked in two places.
Yeah. And the other thing too, we're going to have a cam lock box for this camera as well. So
yes,
if that's a real deterrent, or you're, really want to make it challenging, we're going to have a cam lock US steel heavy duty lockbox that will be available for purchase. They're working on those right now. So we will have those. So if that's really important for you, we have an option for that. in terms of how's the battery life, I can give you this kind of anecdotal, my experience. I had multiple cameras I put up in October or November, not in super active spots, but they're still taking pictures a day on a set of lithium batteries. So obviously there's so much that goes into that. I'm sure we'll have an additional video regarding it, but depending on how much coverage you have, how active the camera is. But is there anything else that you can say on top of that? Let me just say this. The battery life to me is very strong compared to talking with other folks and also compared to other cameras. But anything else you want to add to that?
No, I just think that, the goal of these things, any connected device, is just get them in the woods and let them do their job. So to limit human intrusion. And in my mind, like you almost have to, you don't have to, but like it's foolish not to buy an external power source and run them with an external power source. And then battery life's you're not even talking about that. And you end up saving money in the long run because the price of lithium batteries are $30 for an 8-pack these days. So
I doubt they go down.
No, they're not going down. So you buy a couple packs of batteries to get you, through 12 to 18 months. And like you could have just bought a external power source product that's reusable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let's see. Another question. We talked about this, but how many batteries does the Rival take? 8 AA lithium batteries. Here's a one. What SD card will the Rival take?
So this is a little bit different on the capacity side. This will accept up to 128 gigabyte card. Most of our testing has been done with our cards, the 32 gigabyte. 32 gigabyte class 10 cards, 80 megabytes per second on the writing speed, maybe touch faster than that, which they've worked flawlessly. So everything that we've done has been with those cards. And with the cell cameras, like you don't always need to have the latest and greatest and the biggest capacity because you're managing that stuff kind of remotely. Like you have the ability to format your cards and do that stuff. So there's not, to me, like you're overpaying for an SD card that it's not providing any value if you're using a 128 gig card.
Yep, I would agree. Now, this one, what sets your cameras apart from the rest? I'll give you just a quick synopsis. I mean, we went through a lot of things here, but I think quality built products at an affordable price. I mean, that's really what our core ethos of this company is and backing up our products. So I think that to me sets our product apart. And if there is an issue, we take great seriousness in getting the problem resolved, whatever that is. Now, this is something that we always get regardless, but how do they work in low signal areas? And then I would add, can you use a booster antenna that we offer?
Yeah, it's like any cellular device, like you got to have coverage for things to work. Kind of that 2 bar is kind of the minimum threshold. Like just like your cell phone, the better the coverage you have, the better the product's going to work. And that's from transmission speeds to battery life, et cetera. So 2 bars is the minimum. It is compatible with any kind of booster antenna, as long as you're using the right type of SMA fittings, which we will have a specific booster directional antenna for this later this year. But even with the booster antennas, they're not going to magically pull signal where signal is void. Like you have to be working with some kind of minimum threshold to use a directional high gain antenna. So if you have nothing, if you're in an area that has absolutely zero coverage, like they're just not going to work. And that's one of the downfalls to connected devices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really nothing we can do for that. Let's see. Another question here. This is a great one. Do you have to have an AT&T phone in order to use this AT&T camera?
Do not. So, all these connected devices, the Rival, the Render, they will work with any connected device. So it's a server-based platform where your phone is communicating, or your connected device is communicating to a server. You can run these things with an iPad, any kind of tablet, if it has, access to Wi-Fi or the internet. There's a web portal to use, so you can physically use a laptop if you want to see this stuff bigger, or if you're at, work doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing, you can jump in that web portal, take a peek at your cameras, manage your cameras. So your personal phone provider does not matter, not from the connected side or the billing side. Everything is done through your phone on the app 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Now let's see. Does it have an internal antenna? Question we had rolling here. This should be a quick one.
Yeah. So there's, there's a couple different things when you get to the hardware side. I don't know how much we want to elaborate that. It has an external antenna, obviously, has the SMA fitting, like we talked about running the boosters. but similar to the render where you're running a patch antenna and an external.
Okay. Now, what is the threading on the camera for attaching it to a mount? So people probably have stick and picks, the Camlock swivel bracket. What's the mounting size?
Just standard 1/4x20. Yep.
Here's a quick one. Is the solar panel rechargeable? Absolutely. Just plug it in your wall and recharge it. Very easy, quick and efficient. Do you need internal batteries with an SP18? And will the app tell me what the power source is?
You don't need to have internal batteries when you're running external or the SP18. However, we do recommend it because if that panel, squirrel chews on the wire, raccoon hangs on it, thing, it becomes unplugged. Essentially, if you don't have internal batteries in the camera, you're left with a useless tool. So we always tell people to run internal lithium batteries inside the cameras, and then go ahead and run your external power source. The camera knows to pull from EXT power kind of as a primary option first. If that thing dies, comes unplugged, does whatever it does there, it'll make the switch and switch to the internals. And the app relays all that through the status report. So it'll give you a battery percentage, and then it'll also give you a status, EXT as being external and INT being internal.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. When will the non-SD cameras come in stock? That's a question we get all the time through our info account.
We do get that a bunch. As soon as it's ready to announce to the world, we will be announcing it to the world, because we have a long list of people waiting for that.
A very exciting product. Not to take away with what we're talking about today, but
yeah.
Let's see how people have been around the block here with us for a while. How long do you expect to have them in stock? How long? Because we typically have sold out of cameras frequently. I would say it's hard to say, but if you want to order one out, order one. We can't control. I mean, we can sit here and look at the whiteboard and project sales and project all these different things. Sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right. So I would encourage you to check out what we have now, and obviously lock in the 17% off using code RIVAL. Let's see. Will the RIVAL open with the SP18 plugged in? That's a great question. That the answer is yes. Very easy to do. It's something that with the render, that I know that's a pain point for some folks, but we address that and solve that issue with this camera. Here's a fun one. Josh Prophet asked, why does Chad's head look so big? You got any
it's angles, man. I don't know. Maybe all these compliments are making my head swell. I don't know. Maybe I need to humble myself, keep my ego in check a little bit. It's got to be the angle, man.
It's got to be. It's all about the angles. Let's see. I think it's probably time to announce another winner. And the next RIVAL winner is Zachary Fields on YouTube. Thank you so much for being involved here in the live stream. Send us an email at info@exodusoutdoorgear.com, and we will give you one of the very, very first RIVAL cameras. Want to say thanks once again for everyone tuning in here live. Let's see. Can you delete photos from the app? Next question.
Yeah. So you can delete and manage your photos directly from the app. Now, you're not going to be able to delete specific photos from your SD card without formatting the SD card. But you can manage anything you want to do in the app photo wise. Like you can manage, download, save, request HDs. Again, no, there's no charge to request HDs. It's going to be count against your data plan because you're transmitting that. But there's no charge for it. But so you have complete management over the photos.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one. Does the RIVAL upload all photos in a burst mode? Let's see if a 3-shot burst, it's going to upload all 3.
Yep.
That's let's see. I want to say that's the majority of the questions we have throughout here. Obviously, you're always welcome to send us an email at exodusoutdoorgear.com, and we can answer your questions there. Let's see. I think that's pretty much all the questions. We'll give you guys just maybe another second or two if you have any other burning questions. Want to say thank you once again for everyone tuning in here. Want to say thanks again for everyone supporting the brand over the years, supporting the content, supporting the podcast. We simply would not be able to do that without you guys and stay in business. So it's very humbling to see all the support and all the folks in here, new and old. A lot of names I recognize, some new names I don't recognize. So we really appreciate that. I wonder how many trail camera companies can identify people's names of like that person's a customer.
Back in the day, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, like I used to know, I bet you I knew like 75% of names. Now, I mean, I still remember some, but not like I used to. Maybe that's just a product of getting old though. I am I'm like on a downhill slope here.
It's all mental.
In my 40s. It is all mental. No, but I guess as we're wrapping this thing up, I would just like to say thank you for everyone who is kind of people that have bought into the brand and bought into our mission. I think sometimes, we are like, our personalities, our names, our faces, our voices are so closely tied to the brand that at times, like, we take things maybe a little too personal because we care so much, right? Like, this has been like I don't want to say it's a passion project, because it's far beyond a passion project, but it's been our baby, like, in this incubator. And like, it's been so much fun to watch this thing grow and scale. And as we build a team here and bring new hires in and continue to scale resources and be able to leverage those resources into more resources for our customers on the content side. So, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's kind of been on our journey over the last 8 years. It's been really cool.
Absolutely. And so, in case you haven't missed the ticker on the bottom, use code RIVAL. You can save 17% off, and that includes the camera or the RIVAL and SP18 bundle. Great opportunity to scoop that up. Like I said, we just want to say thank you once again. We have some additional exciting announcements this year. Obviously, stay tuned. If you guys appreciate this live stream and enjoy this, let us know that as well, so we can continue to do this. Like I said, we have some potential aero launches, some new cameras potentially coming down the pipeline. So keep an eye out for that. If you haven't subscribed to the email newsletter, you can do so at our website at the bottom of the page. And I just want to say thanks to everyone on the team here. So for the folks behind the scenes making all this possible, Cameron Durr, the content director, Lucas running the show here, content production, Skylar Hughes, content production, Jace fulfilling orders, Bobby building all the arrows. If you got his arrows here recently, he touched them and built them with a lot of love. And we just hired a brand new customer service representative today, Dylan Osborne. So I just want to say thanks to everyone here on the team. And if you are going to be at the Great American Outdoor Show, we will be there in the archery hall. Hopefully see you guys there. We will have we'll match the pricing, what we have here today at the Great American Outdoor Show. We're hoping to have those in hand depending on when you show up to the show. So maybe we'll follow up with some information on that. So if you can expect that, or, your expectations will be aligned with what's going to happen. So that is it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, reach out. Anything else here, Chad?
Nope, that's it. Just to echo your words. Thank you. Support has been tremendous, and hopefully we see some faces in Harrisburg.